Hi everyone, as we're getting started, just an invitation if you haven't had a chance yet to hop in the chat section and introduce yourself. And if you're looking for that, that's at the bottom of your screen. It might be something blinking at you as you're looking. I'm Brittany and we will be getting started here in just a few minutes. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our AGM. We're going to be getting started here in just a couple minutes. Just give everyone time to hop on that Zoom link and join us. If you haven't had a chance yet, there's a chat section that will show up at the bottom of your screen. If you want to hop on there and introduce yourself, I've seen lots of folks hopping on there for introductions. And do want to let you know, and I'll let you know again as we get started, that we are recording the AGM to be able to share with a couple folks that can't join us here live this evening. So yeah, so hang tight, hop in that chat section, and we'll see you in a couple minutes, or we can see you now. We will get started in a couple minutes. All right, everyone. Well, welcome to our brown bagging annual general meeting. We are meeting a little bit of a different format than we typically do. So thank you for joining with us here on our Zoom call. Tonight we are going to hear from a couple different folks, including our chair of our board, treasurer, and from Tanya, our executive director. So we're excited to share this space with our community, and do want to let you know just kind of a couple housekeeping items before we dive into all of the updates and information pieces. So there's a chat section at the bottom of your screen where we'll ask everyone to hop in and introduce yourself. And that is also a spot where you can let us know about any questions that you have. After we have a couple updates, we will have some time to dive into question period. You won't be able to unmute yourself on the call, but you can pop something into the chat section, and you can send that either directly to me or send it for all. And so those are just kind of options down there at the bottom. You'll see a drop down list that will allow you to send a question right to me if you want to flag it for me. Or if you want to share it with the group. We are recording tonight, so just do want to let you know that we're recording this session so that it can be shared with folks that couldn't be here. We are just excited to dive in and share some time with you this evening. So thank you for joining us. I'm going to start by inviting Mariah, our board chair, to give some opening remarks and reflect on 2019.
Thanks, Brittany. Hi, everyone. To Brittany's point, this is a pretty unusual AGM for brown bagging. So I was really happy to see the amount of participation and still interest that the community had in coming to join us here today for not only the annual general meeting and some of the updates, the reflections on the past year, but also the massive 30-year celebration that I know the leadership team has put some exciting thought into for the past 2 years brown bagging, and happy to say that they just re-elected me for another 2 years. So I'm really looking forward to continuing to work closely with the leadership team, Tanya, Brittany, Bethany, Stephanie, like so many of the fantastic people that work every day at brown bagging, but also the amazing group of volunteers, one of which I am, and the board, as well as, you know, my family and I come into the kitchen at least a couple of times a year. So I'm really hoping that opportunity as our community to come back together and see each other face to face going forward. But if we don't, I'm more than confident that this team has it under control and will still be able to take the power of this community and make sure that our Calgary kids are fed. So you want to just go to the next slide, please, Brittany? Thank you. So as I was thinking about the 2019 for brown bagging for Calgary's kids, I realized that this was really a year for growth and development, both from an organizational perspective as well as from the board perspective. The organization itself has evolved quite a bit. We took on a development project supported by the Calgary Foundation and worked closely with Impact 8, which is a consulting firm that focuses on not-for-profits and strategic thinking particularly. And it was really a great opportunity for us to just review and reaffirm the vision, mission, and values of brown bagging for Calgary's kid. And it reminded us, I think, just part of the power of our organization is the fact that it exists because we believe that communities have the power to ensure that every kid is fed and set up to reach their full potential. And that's really one of the reasons that I was so drawn to brown bagging was, you know, I truly believe that we as a community are stronger, we're better together. And I see that come about in everything that this organization does. We're so thankful for the strong community of volunteers, the donors, the staff, you know, our other partner organizations, the board. And it's really this incredibly vibrant and committed community and the strong partnerships that allow us to be able to pivot and continue to ensure our kids are fed even during times like a pandemic. And I think that really highlights, just the strength of what we believe in and our mission and our vision, that it'd be even one day that it's no longer an issue in Calgary and Alberta. So, the work with the Calgary Foundation, that the Calgary Foundation supported with Impact 8 was a good opportunity for that reflection and just to make sure that we are all still aligned in that. But I actually think it was this pandemic that really made it come to light just how true that is and just what a strength that is for us and our organization. From a board perspective, we've also evolved, as one must, with the organization. We went from 4 board members to 9, and we have actually created 3 different committees: the Brand and Fund Development Committee, the Governance and Human Resources Committee, as well as the Finance Committee. And these committees really help us become more strategic. They work closely with the leadership team, and they serve as an opportunity for people who are interested in becoming board members. So as we evolve as a board, we realize that it's important for us to draw on our community and begin to build a pipeline of people who are interested in participating or volunteering on the board. And committees are a really great way to do that because it gives you some insight into what does it mean to be part of a board. It gives you directly in new ways of thinking and strategic questioning. And those committees are really what brings the strength to the board and brings forward new ideas and new ways of thinking. So boredom. And if you're interested in that, please don't hesitate to let somebody on the leadership team know or somebody on the board know, and we'd be happy to share more about what that looks like for you. I mentioned that we had 4 board members. So one of those members was Heather McDonald. And Heather, from the beginning, has always been ready to roll up her sleeves and jump in where required. She remained an active participant in the kitchen and certainly an active volunteer on the board, and was able to really give voice and perspective.
Right.
To retire.
Oh, we lost you there just for a quick second.
Oh, was it?
You're good. You're back. You had kind of just started in with chatting about Heather's role.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Brittany. Do let me know if I'm cutting out. If I have to, I'll stop my video if the audio needs a better connection. So as I was saying, Heather McDonald has decided to retire from the board this year. She'll remain an active participant in the kitchen. But I really want to thank Heather for all that she has done and her commitment to brown bagging as a member of the board of directors. Heather was really one of those 4 that started from the ground up to help us evolve this board and participate with the organization and dive in for the past couple of years. And we wouldn't have been able to do it without her. So just really grateful for Heather for all of her time and commitment. We also have Mark Doris, who's been our treasurer for the past 2 years and has just generously agreed to continue in that capacity for another 2-year term. So really excited that he has decided to continue to help evolve the board and look forward. Mark brings a wealth of experience and background in finance across the energy industry and has been invaluable in us really, even more recently thinking about what does it mean from an auditing perspective to have us giving out gift cards rather than doing lunches, and what does that mean for us, and what will that mean for our finance and the review and how we're going to get back to our funders. So really integral role, the treasurer position on the board, and Mark has done a fantastic job, and very, very grateful to say that he's going to continue to do that. In 2019, we had several new board members join us, and I'm very happy to announce that Cecilia Lee was recently elected to become our new vice chair. So Cecilia is a manager of health and wellness at Alberta Health Services, and she actually holds a master's degree in global health as well as a master's in business administration. So she has a wealth of experience and knowledge that will be so useful with the board and already has been. When she put forth her intent to apply for the vice chair role, Cecilia actually shared that integrity, credibility, and compassion are 3 fundamental leadership capabilities she believes in and strives for. And we have certainly already experienced those qualities multiple times in her position on the board. And I think are so well aligned to just the values of brown bagging and what we treasure as being a people-centered organization. Cecilia has already made a positive difference with her critical and systems thinking as well as innovation, and I'm looking forward to seeing her grow and evolve even more in the vice chair role. So welcome, Cecilia. I'm also happy to announce that Vu Nugent will be taking on the role of strategic communications for the board. So Vu actually has a background in engineering. However, he is a very successful entrepreneur that runs his own business. He has already consistently volunteered in
We lost Mariah there again just for a quick second, but we'll see if we can get her back on. I'm just gonna
yeah. You can't hear me?
We couldn't hear you for a minute. You were just kind of about to start chatting about Vu's role.
Okay, I'm going to turn off my video while I'm chatting, and I'll come back later when people have questions, but I don't want people to waste their time losing audio. So do let me know if it doesn't get better.
Sounds good. Thank you.
So you did hear about Vu or you didn't?
Just a position that Vu will be taking on the board, like the title.
Okay. So the role of strategic communications. So Vu has a background in engineering, but he is also now a successful entrepreneur that runs his own business. While his time at the board, Vu has consistently volunteered in the kitchen before becoming a board member as well as during, and will continue to be an integral voice at our table in terms of that experience and what that looks like. He is also an active part of our brand and fun committee and helps to push our thinking when it comes to the voice of brown bagging, and will also start to really build our voice as a board. So congratulations to both of you on your new positions. I could also go on about all the other incredible skills and expertise we've been lucky to bring together, but I don't want to steal Vu's thunder because that's going to be part of his mandate this year is, just making the board a little bit more accessible and ensuring that we demonstrate and share the expertise that we've been so lucky to be able to bring forward. So look for that in upcoming communications. Can you go to the next slide? I wanted to take a moment to just think about the sheer magnitude of these numbers. Last year, by the end of 2019, brown bagging for Calgary's kids was feeding almost 5,000 kids a day in Calgary. That was an increase of almost 17% over the year. And we've seen that sort of steady increase over the past 2 years that I've been on the board of brown bagging. That's across more than 223 schools. So that means the coordination of efforts for all those kids across 223 schools is done every single day. And in order to make that happen, we had nearly 500 volunteers each week, making lunches, connecting with kids, giving time in our office, giving time on our board. And it's really the volunteers that make this a possibility. We also had the community rise to the challenge of feeding these numbers with more than $2 million in funds being given to the organization. That is an increase of more than 40% from 2018. So our community is actively volunteering to connect to those kids weekly. They are also helping us ensure that we have the funds as an organization to make that happen. And although nobody wants to celebrate the fact that there are almost 5,000 kids that need food in Calgary each day, I think we should celebrate the fact that our community is rising to the challenge and ensuring that those kids feel valued and loved and are cared for by our community. And it's certainly the volunteers that help us make that happen. So again, I just want to go back to the power of this partnership and the community that Brown Bagging for Calgary's Kids has created, and just say how thankful I am and in awe of both the leadership team and the constant participation of our community to make it happen. With that, and the fact that we were just talking so much about the numbers, I'm going to throw it over to our numbers man, Mark Wills, to give you some insight into our 2019 financials.
Hi, everyone. Am I unmuted now? But I can't see myself on the screen, but.
You're good, Mark.
Okay, good. Hi, I'm Mark Wills. I'm the board treasurer, and I'm also a volunteer driver for Brown Bagging. Also chair of the audit and finance committee, which consists of myself, Bob Taylor, and Kyle Setter. So in her introduction, Mariah was talking about a lot of things that made it sound like I was a superhero, but actually there's a group of us that do a lot of these things as a team of bean counters that are kind of more serious about the numbers and things like that. So I want to mention Bob and Kyle as well. So anyway, so 2019 was an excellent year. Can you just go back one, Brittany, for a sec? Can you? It was an excellent year for Brown Bagging in financial terms. It was an excellent year in many other ways, but I'm only speaking to the financials today. As the demand for our lunches and kids in need grew, so did our budget. Mariah had mentioned that the budget was about 40% higher than previous years. And I don't mind telling you, as the treasurer in 2018, I was concerned about our ability to fund the growth, the growth in need. So now can we switch there to the next slide, please? Turns out the Brown Bagging staff were up to the challenge, and our revenues in 2019 were close to $2.1 million versus revenues of $1.3 million in 2018. It was a great job by everyone involved. We hired a full-time financial, or not financial, but a full-time person to go get funds, and everybody worked on it, and we did a great job. So the slide you're looking at contains a breakdown of where we received our donations from. And as you can see, that even as Calgary as a community suffered an economic downturn in 2019, individuals and companies stepped up to assist us in feeding the hungry kids. Next slide, please. Our expenses in 2019 were about $1.8 million versus expenses of $1.5 million in 2018. And as a rule, I found that Brown Bagging keeps a very tight rein on expenses, and we usually come in very close to budget on expenses. We pay very little in terms of rent and overhead. Kitchen staff works very closely with our vendors to ensure we get good value for our money without sacrificing quality. And as a volunteer, I think we provide the kids in need with a good nutritional lunch that kids also enjoy. The slide also breaks down on expenses, also breaks down where the money goes by broad general categories. As you all know, Brown Bagging does not have a large staff and relies heavily on the volunteers, most of which a lot of you are here tonight, to meet its needs, thus keeping expenses down. And I'll go on. We recently received a draft copy of our 2019 audit. And the overall opinion of the audit was that the Brown Bagging passed its 2019 audit, and the financial statements represent fairly the financial position of the society. Right now, we're doing very well. Pandemic might cut into this, gift cards, etc., but we'll see how that goes. And that was about all I had in financials. So if you have any more you want to talk about, put your questions in the chat box like I introduced earlier. And right now I want to introduce Tanya, our executive director, to carry on.
I think I'm unmuted. You can hear me now, can you not? Excellent, good. Thank you so much everyone for being here in our very first and hopefully only ever virtual AGM that we're hosting for Brown Bagging for Calgary's Kids. And to start off, I'm going to ask Bethany to start off with a great little video.
Bethany, we can't hear the audio.
Okay, well, let's see if we can't fix that. Let's try it now.
It feels like an eternity since we felt the bustle of life moving through our kitchens, busily preparing lunches for over 5,000 kids in Calgary every school day. But hunger doesn't stop when the world gets a little crazy, or even when a pandemic hits. The day schools closed, our team of staff, volunteers, and community groups woke up and completely redefined business as usual. Overnight, the world of brown bagging for Calgary's kids was transformed. Since March 16, we have seen our kitchens close, yet over 3,800 children have been fed daily with the supply of grocery cards. Our community groups pause, but our community food partners step up to provide more than 1,000 meals to kids every day in Calgary from over 17 locations around the city with our Food Finder YYC app. Restaurants are closed, but community partners like the Salvation Army continue to provide meals to families in need. Our donors, overcoming their personal and corporate struggles, have mobilized to support our response fund with donations of size and number we rarely see. Our volunteers, this incredible group of dedicated individuals, have not stopped. They have stepped up to the call for help at a moment's notice. And of course, there's our team. The BB4CK group of staff and board members have mobilized and transformed this organization to be able to feed families in all corners of our city. Whatever the challenges, we face them together. So here's to our BB4CK community, and here's to Calgary. For every action that has been taken, we are one step closer to our vision of no hungry kids, pandemic or no pandemic. Together, we can do so much.
Excellent, thank you. And thank you to, there's an organization in the city that helped create that video for us, Cher and Fran, and to our great internal brown bagging team for helping put that together in this time. Part of that video was made for a purpose of their company is looking for silver lining opportunities in the city right now, and are wanting to share those stories of what's happening in our world and finding those silver linings. So thank you to Fran and Sharon, the team, for doing that. So Mariah and Mark have shared about what the year has looked like from 2019, and then even a little bit about what it's looked like for us in the beginning of 2020. But I did have this puck, and I'll show it in my screen here, of the Edmonton Oilers. And if we think for a moment here, that's how we did start the year, is we were part of a viral social media campaign in the Cassie and Cach rivalry, the Battle of Alberta. And that's how we started our year. And little did we know that responsiveness to things that we could not predict would help us to get ready for what was coming up further later in the year. And so that just made me reflect on what this year has held for us. And in that campaign, that we had people that engaged with us and donated and were sharing our story all over the world, and raised about $40,000 for brown bagging. So that's how we started this year. And you've heard about what it's looked like for us in terms of the number of kids we were caring for, the number of schools that were involved, the hundreds of people that were giving time and money. And really that we were growing up as an organization, not just in terms of the number of hungry kids that we're seeing, that it has seen that increase, but also just as an organization, going from the small sort of mom and pop shop to this organization that had a bigger imprint, a bigger impact, and was wanting to make a difference with what we were doing as an organization, as a team. So that's been our story up until March 16th. And then this pandemic hit. And I will tell you that very first Monday when schools were closed, the stories we heard from teachers and school staff of kids still coming by the school to get food. The harsh reality and the fear and the anxiety for those kids and their families with schools being closed, and our contact point changing for those kids, that they were still hungry and weren't sure what they were going to be doing without food at the school. So we responded. We responded overnight. As brown bagging has like I said, with our Edmonton Oilers scenario, we've learned a lot about being very responsive and adaptive very quickly. So immediately, overnight, we turned into an organization that could connect with the schools, get information out to those families, and offer them grocery gift cards. So very quickly, we acquired grocery gift cards, we acquired procedures, built a platform for families to go and sign up so they could receive a grocery gift card for each child they have in their family. And in that also, we were actually launching our Give Where You Live campaign that same day. And that wasn't appropriate for us anymore. So then the same thing, in literally 24 hours, we launched the Response Fund campaign, and the team at Brown Bagging was able to reach out and call people to action for connecting and donating so that we could be an organization that was still raising those funds to be here for whatever we were entering into. And there's still so much unknown for us. In that response, we also started relaunching what we call Food Finder YYC. Now, some of you might remember Food Finder YYC from a few years ago. It was a summer pilot program that we started to help sort of meet that gap and reach out to kids in need over the summer. And we always sort of knew that it was sort of going to be this hidden secret or this tool for us to sort of simmering on the back burner. And we saw that this was an opportunity for us to not only reach out to kids and families in the communities that were in need, but also to engage the community, because we were seeing that people still really wanted to help. And there were opportunities to safely do so. So we relaunched Food Finder YYC as our response also, along with the gift cards, to help get food to kids around the city. So Food Finder YYC is food places all around the cities, community organizations, restaurants, food places that could safely make food. Families can find out through a website or through texting, have a conversation as to where and when they can access food in their community. The other things that we really needed to respond to overnight was our team. We now needed to be this team that valued people-centeredness, human-centeredness. We are remote, our culture of caring in the reality, as you all can relate to, of this fear and this unknownness and anxiety that we all went through in this time of this pandemic. So getting this team remote, with also being productive, effective, efficient. Some people on their team were even doing different jobs. So showing the resilience that they needed to step into to still work towards our mission of making sure there's no hungry kids in our city. And for you guys, the volunteers, and all of a sudden this opportunity to volunteer in the community or in our kitchen had disappeared because we needed to shut down our kitchen. And still the team was able to connect as best they could with you as people that we care for and are so grateful for how you help us do what we do and feed hungry kids in our city. So all that to say, we are now at the place that we are reaching through our grocery gift card program almost 4,000 kids every day. With our Food Finder program, we're almost about 1,000 kids every day through Food Finder or through some other partnerships and collaborations that we're able to connect with to help families all around the city through those partnerships really access food. We're approximately 2,300 connections with families now that we've never had before. And that tells us, gives us an opportunity that we can reach out to these families and care for them. And I'll tell you, some of the grocery gift cards that get sent out in envelopes with loving, encouraging notes, resources, care, connection. So still through a grocery gift card, we're still staying true to who we are and being an organization that lunch is love. And they might get that even just through a mail delivery and a grocery gift card. And as of today, we have raised just over $1.2 million this year. And that is fantastic, is a sign of the hard work the team, the people around the organization are doing, and people connecting with us to help us to ensure that we're here to continue to feed hungry kids and the need that we are unfortunately seeing still in these times. So what's next for us? Where are we going in this new normal? So we have taken this time and this opportunity to engage with stakeholders, with those brown bagging families that we now have direct connections with, to do some learning and reflection to ensure that we are here to be the best organization we can be and thrive in these uncertain and unprecedented times. So we're asking questions of ourselves, of our stakeholders, of our volunteers, of our community, of our families, how we can best feed and care for kids in this new norm. And I'll tell you, I talked to a mom last week. We'll give her the name Nancy. Nancy and her husband have 3 kids. Logan is 8, and they have a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old. So Logan was receiving lunches at school. And Nancy shared that the fact that her son was able to get lunch at school took the stress and the pressure off of her even just a little bit, because they didn't have much to go very far. And so the fact that Logan was getting fed at school just made it ensured that he was having the opportunity for him to be his best self, but also allowed her to spread the little bit of money they did have around to the other kids and her husband. So then school closed, and Nancy said she quickly got the communication to sign up for gift cards. So she got those gift cards and was able to then really look at what she was doing to feed her kids, the other 2 kids she has. And what she really appreciated about the grocery gift cards was the fact that she really watches what she's buying, when she's buying. She knows that there's chickens on sale for $2.99 a pound, or where she can get a box of granola bars on sale, or a 2-for-1 deal. The grocery gift cards gave her the opportunity to choose what grocery store she was purchasing at and make that money go as far as she can. So to take that stress and anxiety in a time that's so prevalent for us, take that away so she can give the food to those kids. She also very, very much shared and honored and humbled that she shared that there are times that their family, with the struggle, the fact that her husband lost his job, that the money they have does go to those kids, and that means that sometimes there's less for her and her husband. So that's a very harsh reality to me, and a conversation that I had with this amazing mom that's resilient, and humbling to realize that is the reality for so many families before this pandemic hit, and even more so now. So we're evolving as an organization. We want to make sure we're here to meet the need of Nancy, her kids, and all the other families that we're connecting with. We are staying true to our core commitment to feed and care for hungry kids. That is our guiding light. We want to be here to do that and ensure there's no kids going hungry in our city. And with an abundance mentality and looking at the opportunities on how we can best do this, feed and care for these kids, we want to do that together in the values and in what's true to brown bagging in this new norm that is we're living in right now. So thank you for your time and your commitment to brown bagging. And as I end, I have 2 things that I want to celebrate and share with you. So those of you who know me, I'm a little bit cheesy, so beware. The first things I want to celebrate with you is it is National Brown Bagging Day. I was going to put a brown bag over my head, but I was told that probably wasn't a good idea. What I want to recognize in celebrating Brown Bagging Day is you. So we know as volunteers, as donors, as collaborative partners, as teachers and school staff, the Brown Bagging Board, which are committed and been such a resource to us as an organization, and the brown bagging staff team that have endured all that we've endured the last few years, but especially in this pandemic. So National Brown Bagging Day is proclaimed by our Mayor Nenshi, and I'm grateful for that, but that really is celebrating you as people working together to ensure there's no hungry kids in our city. So thank you for that. And the next celebration that I want to share with you is, so here we go, if this will work. We are 30 years old this year. Oh goodness, my sparkler's not gonna work. Oh, there it goes, there we go. So celebrating our 30th year with you all. I will eat this cupcake by myself, but just recognizing that brown bagging has been around for 30 years. That's quite a milestone. And that really represents that it's people that are working together to feed and care for hungry kids in our city. We don't want this hunger and this need to increase. But if there is a need, we want to do this together, and we believe it's about doing it as a community. We strongly believe in the power of community and would not be here without you. So thank you for your time and your years of commitment and celebrating Brown Bagging's 30th anniversary with us. Thank you.
Well, happy birthday, Brown Bagging. We tossed around the idea of having Tanya and Mariah lead us in a rendition of Happy Birthday, and we decided that we could save that for a future recorded video on Zoom. The chat section is open, and please feel free to drop any questions in there, and I will field them over to the team. We have a couple there already that have come in. One logistical one I'm actually going to pass over to myself just to answer really quick, and then I'll toss a couple questions over to Tanya and to Mariah. There was a question about the number of schools that we work with. We work with about 223 schools, and the question was about what percentage of eligible schools that is. And so at Brown Bagging, we are working with schools in Calgary, and we are in touch with all schools, and some are either have no need identified, or there's a need identified that they are meeting within their school. Either there's a different program or funds available in a different way. And so that number is kind of from our pre-COVID times. And we continue to keep in touch and are building relationships, and we will see what those look like as we move forward. So I will now pass over a question to Tanya, and feel free to add on to my answer there. And the question that I'll send over your way is what, in kind of in your perspective, the biggest highlight of 2019 was for you and for Brown Bagging as an organization?
I think Brittany and I are both trying to unmute myself. So the question is a highlight of 2019. You know, I would say a highlight for me for 2019 is resiliency. You know, I think interesting that if we look at what's happened in the world now, maybe looking back, there was things that were happening in the last few years that kind of prepared us for being resilient through these unprecedented, uncertain times. And I think a highlight for me is how resilient the people are in the organization. So the staff team, the board, our volunteers, resilient through some unknown times as we grow as an organization. So for me, a highlight would be around resiliency.
I love that. We talk lots about resiliency around Brown Bagging as well. Mariah, there is a question for you around what drives your connection to Brown Bagging, and why do you choose to volunteer your time as the chair of the board?
She didn't do anything.
Yeah, well, there's so many reasons. I would go back to, I guess I was a high school teacher. And so in that time, it was in Quebec, and I was actually a high school teacher in a part of Montreal that socioeconomically didn't have a lot. And I could actually see the difference when kids came to class having not eaten versus days that you could tell that they did. They were more engaged, they were often happier. And it was interesting because what I actually caught myself doing, you know, especially near the end of the year, teachers get tired, kids get tired, is that I found myself resenting the kids that were regularly coming in unhappy, or, you know, were just ready to sort of fight with everybody, and it needed a lot of discipline. And it probably took me 2 years as a teacher to actually become aware enough to realize that those were often the kids that weren't eating. And so just what an impact that had. And then the domino effect that had, that, you know, teachers actually not wanting to help them as much. and how like that just made me ill, right? Like these poor kids, that was actually going to make it worse and become a bigger effect and actually get them less help. And it wasn't their fault. They were just hungry, and we've all been hangry before. And so I actually went to do a master's degree in education, and I focused on assessments of not-for-profit. And part of the reason that I wanted to do that is I wanted to really understand when not-for-profits come and start to engage with communities, how do we really ensure that they're successful and that they're meeting the needs of that community, and that we're doing that in a way that is deemed effective for donors. And I worked with some of the First Nations in Carcross-Tagus First Nations up in Whitehorse in actually developing their curriculum and focusing on bringing in culture and community. And a lot of that came back to food security as well. And I'm a mom. I'm a mom of 2 beautiful girls, and I also see them be hangry, and we are blessed enough that they have never had to go hungry. But I wanted them to be involved in something, and this is something that I can bring them into the kitchen. I can give them cards, and they can actively hand them out at schools or to their teachers, and they feel like they're part of something, and they realize how lucky they are. So I think just time and again in my life, community has been a strong part of who I am, a strong part of who I think has made me better. And it seems to come up again, just how important it is, food security for kids, and how important that is for all of us being more successful. It's one of those things that raises the bar for everybody, right? Like you talk about the floating ship, and if the water goes up for some, it actually goes up for everyone. And I think brown bagging just time and again demonstrates for me how all those things come together. So that was my connection to brown bagging. That and burpees with Tanya. Because I happened to be also working out at one point, and Tanya didn't know, but I started to talk about, things that I was at a point in my life that I want to start to volunteer. And so I just, again, really lucky to have met the right people and been able to participate in a way that was valuable to me.
We're lucky to have you. Thanks, Mariah. Tanya, a question for you is that just came in through the chat is how to become a volunteer with brown bagging.
Oh, excellent. So I appreciate that you're on here as if you're not a volunteer, so that's amazing. The best way to become a volunteer is to reach out to Rebecca on our team and send her a message. You can go onto our website. Rebecca's waving. I don't know if you can see Rebecca, but she's Rebecca. We can put that in the chat. Maybe Rebecca at BB4CK.org. Reach out to her, and she is fantastic to connect you with different volunteer opportunities and things that are going on as we, again, continue to evolve. But she will definitely connect you in there. She's put her email in there, so that's amazing, fantastic. So thank you for wanting to volunteer with the organization.
Wonderful. So that is all the questions that we have in at this point, but do just want to offer, if you haven't sent something over, feel free to pop into that chat box or give me a wave and I'll send you a note. All right, I didn't practice my auctioneer voice for the going, gone, but I am going to pass over to Tanya for thank you and a wrap up.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you, Brittany, for hosting us tonight. I said in this unique scenario of an online Zoom AGM. In closing, we're giving you a few extra minutes to enjoy your night. If it's not raining, you can head out for a walk or something, but just truly want to say thank you. These are unique times, and I know every single one of you have had scenarios and situations in your own home and your own lives and through this time of the reality of what's happened in our world. And thank you for still your commitment to working together to be here to feed hungry kids. We could not do this if it wasn't for you, whatever part you play. We truly do believe it's about the village and it's about community doing whatever they can. Sometimes that's $20, sometimes that's 5 hours, sometimes that's $1,000. Sometimes that's just a conversation or encouragement. And that is truly so valuable to us because we are seeing this need increasing. We have now contact and connection with all these families, and we're seeing that this will continue to be increasing. We want to be here as an organization to meet whatever that need is. We don't want it to grow. Unfortunately, we're seeing the growth, and we want to do that together. And we believe community is the best solution to helping us to ensure there's no kids going hungry. So thank you for whatever your contribution is to brown bagging. It is so much appreciated, and we're grateful for it. And I truly, truly wish you well in these times. Stay connected to people, do the good things for your life and for your heart and your family, and keep being ambassadors to brown bagging, sharing our story, reaching out to people, and being part of helping us to ensure that there's communities, a future where communities are ensuring there's no kids going hungry. So on that note, Brittany, am I sending everybody off?
I believe so. Just wanting to make a note that there was a question that went to Mariah just for all the names of members of the board. So Mariah posted an answer in the chat section. But yes, I think you can send everyone off.
Awesome. All right, my friends, thank you for all you do. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.